Did you know that there are entire states in Mexico with no rivers? And I'm not talking about the desert states on the northern border. No, these occupy some of North America's wettest places, covered in rainforest and home to huge indigenous cities, but with basically no fresh water. This is the Yucatan Peninsula, the second of Mexico's two great peninsulas. And in my video on the Baja California Peninsula, I called it the Alaska of Mexico. If that's true, this is like Mexico's Florida, but in a cool way, I promise. Here's its geography explained in less than 3 minutes. Are you ready? Here we go. Like Florida, the Yucatan Peninsula is a nearly completely flat limestone platform laid down by ancient coral reefs over millions of years, meaning that there's essentially no topography here. And because the ground is so flat, meaning water doesn't flow away very quickly, and because limestone is one of the most porous natural minerals, nearly all the rain that falls here, up to 100 inches a year in some places, just percolates into the ground rather than flowing to the ocean and rivers. This leaves us with one of the most unique hydrological systems in the world, a place where fresh water is abundant, but none of it is on the surface. So how do people survive here at all? And how did the Maya, one of the largest and most prolific pre-Columbian civilizations, manage to survive here for thousands of years, building cities with up to 100,000 people in them? Well, the other thing that limestone is really good at is cave formation. Specifically, the Yucatan is home to thousands and thousands of collapsed sinkholes called cenotes, which provide direct access to the enormous aquifer beneath the surface. The largest of these, the Maya built their cities around, most famously at Chichen Itza, whose name literally means at the mouth of the well of Itza. Contrast this with the coastline of the peninsula, which is swampy and has less access to fresh water, and you'll understand why for most of history, the settlements in the Yucatan were clustered inland rather than on the ocean. This started to change though when the Spanish colonizers arrived in the 1500s. Prioritizing access to trade routes, the Spanish built cities like Campeche as fortified ports, having, relatively speaking, less interest with the jungly interior of the peninsula. This meant that as Mexico developed as a colony and country, the Yucatan remained isolated and self-sufficient, going so far as to declare independence multiple times, most famously in the Caste War of the mid-1800s, one of the most successful Native American results, resulting in Yucatan independence for several decades. These are all reasons why nowadays the Maya are the most intact of the major pre-Columbian civilizations, with a third of people here still speaking Yucatec Maya. The economy here is also distinct from the rest of the country. On the Gulf side, there's a huge oil industry, just like there is on the Gulf Coast of the US, with the state of Campeche producing over half of Mexico's oil output, more than the US state of Alaska. The Caribbean coast, though, is much more dependent on tourism, with huge artificial resort cities, something I have a whole other video about. If you know anything about the Yucatan, though, you probably know that I still haven't mentioned its most famous geographic feature. About 65 million years ago, Chicxulub, the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, crashed right here, permanently altering the hydrology of the region by creating an enormous underground basin that filled with groundwater, creating the Yucatan aquifer we see today. Without this impact, we might not have Chichen Itza, Tulum, or most importantly, MTV's Spring Break. If you're from here, let me know in the comments down below what I missed, and everybody else let me know where you think we should go next. Thanks so much for watching. Follow for more.